Good morning, everyone. We'll get started, give you all the chance to kind of hear the presentation and also give you the opportunity to ask some questions, and anything you need to know, we'll try to answer this morning. My name is John Lyons. I'm the Public Utilities Director for Hillsborough County, and within our department we have the water, wastewater, and solid waste services. And we'll be giving just a short presentation this morning to talk about the residential trash collection contracts and kind of where we're going with this. We've had the current contracts in place since 1996, and we have 3 contractors. These will expire in 2013 at the end of September. The county, in conjunction, the county being the Board of County Commissioners, discussed this at great length over probably the last year or so, and they chose to go out with a competitive bidding process. And that's where we're at today. And today we're trying to get input, along with other public meetings and other type of social media on the internet, through email, texting, and other variety of methods, is to get input from the public of what type of service they desire to have. On your property tax bill, there's some non-ad valorem assessments on there, and there's 2 assessments for solid waste. One is for disposal, and one is for collection. And that's the one we're going to talk about today. This year, the assessment is $148.60. Of that, there's about $15 in operating costs, so the contractual pass-through contract cost today is about $133. And so if you could remember that number, because that's going to be the comparative number as we talk through this. About $133 today. These new contracts will begin in 2014, so that wouldn't be what's on your tax bill today won't be affected, but we'll go through the rate assessment process again, and next summer those will be made public, and the board will vote on those as well. Also, currently the county is divided up into 3 districts for the 3 vendors that we have, and we're going to go to a 5-district system in which 2 of the vendors, one vendor may win up to 2 districts through this bidding process. Now we'll talk about the levels of service now. The current level of service that we have we call 211, which means twice a week trash pickup, once a week recyclables, and once a week yard waste. The trash pickup is done through your containers, basically. Under the current bid scenario that we've received the bids, the cost will go from $133 to about $100 next year under that scenario. The next 3 levels of service we'll talk about are carts, or automated service, in which a standardized cart would be required to perform that service. As part of the assessment that would happen then would include the cost of that cart. The county will go out and purchase those carts, and the cost of that will be included in the new assessment if that's the choice that's made. There's 3 different size carts here. It may vary depending on the level of service that you choose, that's ultimately chosen by the board. And there's a 95-gallon cart, a 65-gallon cart, and a 35-gallon cart. And we actually have examples of these up here that after we get done, you can come up and kick them and take a look at them if you want to, and just kind of see what it's all about. Option 2 is an automated 211 service. That'll be twice a week trash pickup, once a week recycling, and once a week yard waste. That would be using a standardized cart, and the total collection cost on that would be about $112 annually in the first year. Yes. The question is basically, is that $111, is that constant, or is it will change on a yearly basis? Yes, it will change on a yearly basis. Built into the contract is an adjustment for consumer price index, so there would be an adjustment for labor cost, an adjustment for fuel cost, and those would have a variation of that on an annual basis, and that would be taken into consideration in the contracts and how the rate assessment is done on an annual basis.
So the automated is on option 2 is probably projected ahead is always going to be a little bit more than the manual. Is that correct? Not just this year, but next year and the year after. I mean, you don't know for sure.
Based on the bid prices we receive, yeah, the answer to that would be yes. Now, we've amortized these carts out over a 7-year period. And so the contract, the way it's going to be set up, is a 7-year contract with a 3-year potential extension. So the cart cost would drop off in year 8 of the contract as we move forward. So there would be some reduction. Overall, from over a 10-year period, you know, the cost would kind of equalize. There's not a whole lot of difference between the costs. If I could get through, and we'll get to the questions after.
Excuse me, John.
Yes.
Terry McGilroy here. I want to let everybody know that we're streaming this meeting live to the internet, so folks that couldn't attend in person can participate. So if you get a question, please let us get the microphone over to you for those people who are attending remotely.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We just have a few slides and we can get back to it and we can get into the questions and answers. That's not a problem. I have all day if you need it. So okay, as we discussed option 2, which is the automated service, same level of service that you have today, twice a week trash, once a week recycling, once a week yard waste pickup. Under option 3, it's a 1-1-1 automated service, and what that means, we would go to once a week trash pickup, once a week recycling, and once a week yard waste pickup. And that's pretty much the trend of any automated services going nationwide at this point. The projected cost on that is about $104 annually in that first year. Under option 4, it's a 1-1/2-1 level of service, and what that means, again, it's an automated service with the standardized carts. It's once a week trash pickup. The recycling would be picked up every 2 weeks instead of once a week, and the yard waste would be on a weekly basis as well. And the total collection cost on that would be about $98 annually in the first year, 2014. So this is out on the web, www.hillsboroughcounty.org/talktrash. There's the ability that we want you to fill out a comment sheet today when you leave, if possible. You can also email us. You can call and leave a message. You can log into the blog and participate. And in the future, here in the near future, in a couple weeks, there will actually be a telephone survey that will be pushed out to get comments from folks as well. We're planning on going back to the Board of County Commissioners on January 10th to present all the information that we received from feedback and from the bids, and to give the board the opportunity to select what option we're going to choose and how we move forward at that point. So now we can ask any questions that you may have, and we'll go from there. And we can do this kind of 2 ways. We can run around and do it, or we can put the mic up here, and if folks want to come up and do that, let's do that. Let's put the mic up here, and yeah, Willie. First one right here. Okay, we'll get that question, and then we'll, if we want to line up, we can do it that way. Set it up over on this side. Okay, your question, sir?
Yeah, you said the option 2 would be 11165.
Yes.
And it will change from year to year?
Yes.
So does that mean all options will change from year to year?
Yes. A part of that, there's a handout that should have been out front that shows kind of a breakdown. It shows for option number 2 that the contractor pass-through cost based on the bids is about $95 annually, plus about $16.80 for the cart. That $94.85 number would be indexed according to the contract.
Okay, and also the cart cost, $16.80. What does that pay for the cart period, or is that
that's
annually?
basically us going out and borrowing money as the county and purchasing 500,000 carts for our customers, and paying that off over a period of 7 years.
$16.80 is our cost for the cart?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
For 2 carts. It would be for 2 carts provided.
He has a question. He can't get up. He can't get up.
One for recycling, one for trash. Yes. They'd be similar to these, 95, 65, and 35-gallon carts. So, for example, If we went to once a week trash pickup, the typical customer would probably get the 95-gallon cart for trash and get the 65-gallon cart for recycling. If you had a residence that didn't generate as much waste or as much recycling, you could step it down to the next level. You could have the 65 for trash, you could have the 35 for recycling, for example. We'll get to that question in a minute, sir.
My name is John McCree. I live in Sun City Center. Two things. One, I've lived in other areas where they have this automated pickup. And one comment that you probably should consider is it doesn't make as much noise. I've complained a number of times to the county that the recycling comes around my section at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I think the guy that does it purposely makes a lot of noise. And dumping the cans and the plastic into the truck, and then he throws the containers back in the yard. It's not too bad in the summer when we're air conditioned, but when we try to open our windows up and enjoy this time of year at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's not when I plan to get up.
Okay.
Okay, the second thing is my daughter lived up in the Atlanta area, and they handle the recycling with drive-through recycling centers, and they are done on a competitive basis and operated by private vendors, and the county does not have to pay for the recycling. And I know everybody says, oh, well, you don't do that, you don't do that. But in that area, it seems to work quite well, and it's done at no expense to the county, and they have a relatively high participation rate.
We appreciate your comments. One thing we're not be of interest to this is that under the current change in contracting methodology that we're using, we've actually gone out on the street and received bids for a recycling processing facility. And today the vendors pick up the recycling and they handle it and it goes away. Under the new contract, under collection, the recycling will go to a central processing facility and the county will receive revenues back from that recycling. There will be a shared revenue for the operation of that processing facility. We're also going to what we call single stream recycling. Today you kind of separate the paper and the glass and the bottles and the metals, cans such as that. In the future, it'll all get dumped in one container and it'll get processed simultaneously. Go to this processing facility, they separate it, and those commodities will get sold out on the open market. Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Richard Conkey. I live in Kings Point, which is part of Sun City Center. It appears to me that you already have your bids, so you know what your costs are going to be.
Yes, sir. The cost that you see up here and what's on the handout is based on those bids.
This is from the new bids, okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm the president of a condominium association. I have 104 units. I would say at least 50% of my people physically cannot handle any of these rolling carts. The average age is around 84 or older. And at this age, you get so many people who are hunched over. They wouldn't even be able to open the lids on these first two cans. And when they put the trash out, and we are walkers in our community, I never have seen an overflowing recycle bin, these small ones. So to have these bigger cans, somebody has them in their garage or something, and they're rather feeble. That stuff's going to build up in there for months until the stench gets so bad that somebody else has to come in and move it out. Sure. Plus, our garages are small. They're loaded up already. I'm a neat freak, and I defy anybody to show me in my garage where I could set one of these cans. So the other thing is that the amount of trash that they put out very rare exceeds a half of a kitchen, you know, those white plastic bags. Very seldom are any of those bags full. I do a lot of cooking and baking. I probably have more garbage out than the average person. I never have more than one bag full out. And when the trucks go by, they don't stop. These guys are the hardest working people nationwide, anybody, those who collect garbage. They just reach out, they grab that bag and they flip it on. The truck keeps on going. To put these recycle containers out, it appears to me that they're going to have to be turned in such a position that the truck can get a hold of them if they latch on to this bar here. I don't know just how it works, but they probably is going to be a much, much slower means of doing it. That's basically all I have, but I am totally opposed to this and would do anything to have the commissioners consider stay with the program that we have right now. It's a nuisance to have these big cans. I have friends that have them in other cities, and when you have a community like maybe in Tampa or something where you have an alley or a place behind your house that you can put these cans, it's okay. We have so many rules and regulations. We don't have a place that we can put them in the front. We cannot put them in the back. And if we had them somewhere to the back where you go out a back door, you still have to drag it across the grass. And you take a little man or a little woman who can hardly navigate. Half of them are taking their garbage out and they're using a walker or a cane to get out to the street. That's good exercise for them. There's no way they can handle these cans. Thank you for your time.
I appreciate your comments. With regard to disabled citizens, there is an option within the ordinance that allows for a no-cost backdoor service for folks that have a disability and can't do that. So you contact the county if they need that service.
You mean they would just come to the door and pick the garbage up?
They would come to the backdoor service for a disabled person, yes.
Hi, I'm Ken Roberts from Apollo Beach. I just got 2 or 3 small things like he did.
Sure.
I want to thank the staff because I know the staff originally supported going out for bids. And I think the county staff has done a great job putting this together, and I commend you on your outreach program. I think it's great. I got a couple of questions. Are we taking advantage of different fuel systems for the trucks in these bids? Are we going to compressed natural gas, for example, or are we just going to use the same fuel as in the past?
That's an option for the vendors to do that, and where that would happen is in the pricing indexing of the adjustment on an annual basis would be influenced whether they were using diesel or compressed natural gas.
Okay, so depending on the price of fuel going forward, they'll do
Yes.
what makes sense. All right.
Yes.
If I understand this right, the contract is a 10-year must-bid contract.
It's a seven
years
with
with a 3-year extension option, but at the end of that 10 years, it has to go out for bid?
I believe any contract could be renegotiated. The intent was to set it up as a 7+3, and future board would make that determination.
I would strongly recommend that it be written into the contract that it's a 10-year must-bid. And I think there's a lot of people that would probably agree with that. Some of our neighboring counties have instituted programs to incentivize people to participate in recycling, and some of those programs have been pretty successful. Are we going to be doing that or something like that?
At this time, we've not done that. But
there's a lot of revenue there potentially,
Sure.
For the county.
We'll take that into consideration and take a look into that.
28-30% increase in participation rates is what they've achieved
Sure.
in neighboring counties when they went out for bid, lowered their costs, and incentivized the ratepayers to participate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Mary Kafad from Ruskin. I have 2 questions. Did someone in the back say that those carts would be $16.80
$16.80 annually, and that's
annually?
And it's for 2 carts.
What is the price? You can pay a car off in 7 years.
We're estimating the cost of these carts to be. We're going to go out and bid for those if that's the choice that's made. So we'll go out through a competitive bid process. For the purpose of the discussion, we put in an estimate of about $50 a cart. So 2 carts per household. We have about 250,000 households, so about 500,000 carts.
So we're like $700 for over the 7 years we'd be paying for these.
1680 times 7 is about $112 or something like that for 2 carts.
Okay. The other question I have is, on the property taxes, there are the 2 charges.
Yes.
We get charged for the collection, which
Yes.
I'm fine with, better you than me. But what about the disposal? Once you pick up the or once someone picks up the trash from my property,
Yes.
puts it in the back of their big truck, it's no longer mine.
It's the
So why
county's.
do I have to pay for disposal then? Why is there a second charge for the disposal?
Somebody has to pay for the disposal. Whether it's a commercial business or a residential business, the disposal is part of the system cost. So there's a cost with the landfill, a cost with the resource recovery facility. So that has to be compensated for to do that. The reason it's split out, it shows that the assessment for the collection, we were able to identify what the cost of collection is, which is a separate component for the disposal. But it, you know, kind of the cradle to grave for trash is you can pick it up, but you have to dispose of it.
Exactly, but that's your problem. Sorry.
It's-
That's someone else's problem once it leaves my property.
It's the taxpayer of Hillsborough, or the solid waste customer of Hillsborough County. That's the way the ordinance is written, and it's the way it's always been.
Doesn't make it right just because it's always been that way, but, all right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, Steve Latchford from Apollo Beach, and again, I would also like to thank you for the work that you all have done to put these out for bid and for the public comment period. 2 questions. Mine are related to jobs. The option number 1 appears to continue to be manual, and it seems that it would require one more operator on the vehicle than the automated systems. Have the staff done any analysis on the number of jobs that would be cost or gained by the difference between the manual and the automated systems?
No, sir. And part of that is that if you go with an automated service, there's multiple ways that could be handled. For example, on the back of the existing dump trucks, there can be a device mounted on there that actually tips the cart. And there's the other alternative is the larger truck that has the automated arm that comes out and grabs the container and dumps it that way. So we've not done that analysis. The means and method of collecting is the sole responsibility of the contractor that would be hired.
All right, and then as voters and as taxpayers, we probably have an interest in jobs, particularly those non-technical jobs that would potentially be leaving as a result of the decision that's made on here. So I appreciate that answer, and we should take it into consideration. The second question would have to do with the labor rates. You mentioned that there's the ability to adjust the cost based on labor rates, a labor rate adjustment in the contract. Is that based on a standard cost of living change, or does the vendor get to come in and say that because of things, say, for example, the new Health Care Act, their costs have risen significantly and they get to pass that through?
I know the fuel pricing index is fairly standard. I'll defer. It's a CPI on labor as well, which I think it comes from the Department of Labor Standards, which would take into consideration all those benefits and changes in benefits. I'm sorry, the indexing that's in the contract is kind of a 2-phase thing. One is for a fuel type adjustment. The other would be associated to labor, and those are taken from a published consumer price index on labor, which would include things such as the cost of insurance, workers' compensation, all those things would be taken into consideration. And I believe that what we put in the contract was a Southeast United States type of indexing.
Hi, I'm Kathy Sankhurst from Sun City Center, and I agree with that young man in the red shirt. That was part of what I wanted to say about the size of these containers for the older people in our community. But also, I have a question. It's not necessarily this type of trash talk, but it's about recycling. And I've been reading an article that if you do not recycle put the proper things in recycling, that separating the recycling costs a lot more money, and it's a lot more aggravation to separate the recyclables. And I find that the information that you give out for recycling is very inefficient. And it neglects, it just gives you so small amount of information about what to recycle that I had so many questions, as far as cleaning containers, orange juice containers. They have aluminum foil and aluminum containers, that if we don't have better information on what to recycle, it's going to cost the county more money to recycle that, because it costs more money to separate out the unrecyclable things that people think are recyclable, and they're not. So then it takes them longer to separate the recyclable garbage. So I think in the aspect of saving money, that you need to send out better recycling information so people are better informed about what they can recycle and what they can't recycle.
I appreciate that comment. We've heard it before. And something I didn't mention and should have is that as we move forward and the contracts are selected, once we know what choice is made by the board based on the input that we get from the public, is that there will be an intense advertising campaign starting in the spring and through the summer, and as these new contracts come on board, to where we'll talk about when, you know, if the days of pickup change, for example, and the different levels of the service. So we're going to reach out pretty far and wide to make sure that everybody gets that communication. But I truly appreciate your comments on that.
Well, it's our earth, and we need to protect it. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
My name is Roy Taylor, live right here in Ruskin. And these garbage cans you got out here, I've done these before. 25 years of picking up garbage. These big ones are not going to work. They're going to get destroyed, tear it up. In Counting, I want a duplex. If the person move and take the container, I have to pay for it again. The little small cans twice a week is good. My wife is 65 years old. She has health problems, and she can't take one of these big cans out by the road. I'm not home all the time. And the recycle, you guys give it to somebody else, and they take care of it for you?
Yes, that's the plan under the contract. And
well, Jacksonville Flour, it used to be BFI, I think it's WSI now. You should take it in. The contractors, you pick it up, take it over there. They dumped it, they separated it. They give the city about 15 to 25%, and they took the rest. And I didn't know that we was giving our recycle away to somebody else.
Under today's contracts, we are. Under the new contract, we'll share that revenue. And the winning bidder that'll run that processing facility will be based on the highest percentage of return back to the ratepayers.
You saying that we only have 3 garbage companies, private companies?
Today.
Today. Why don't you have more people to come down? I have known people, it would like to come down here as garbage companies to open a business, but they won't come down here because it's what they call it, a monotony. You have 3 people bidding against everybody else. And you need to put it out for more people to come down, and it could bring down the cost of the garbage and all that.
We have, and the pricing you see is based on the actual bids we received. We received 6 bids, 6 bidders, and there will be 5 districts, and so it'll be anywhere from 3 to 5 companies that'll run the operations in the future.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
There we go. Jeffrey Ryan from Sun City Center. I haven't heard any comment about the once a week versus twice a week pickup. I'm strongly in favor of twice a week. You miss your once a week pickup during the summer because you're away or something. Your trash is sitting around for 2 weeks plus. In the summer, it's hot in your garage, it's hot outside. Not a good situation for 2 weeks worth of trash to be sitting around. I'm strongly in favor of continuing with the once a week pickup. On the recycle, I think the information you give out says they only take containers labeled in the triangle on the bottom, 1 or 2. Is that still going to be the case?
No, sir. It'll be expanded and pretty much take anything. For example, today you're not supposed to put a pizza carton in the recycling. If it's paper and it's a terrible type of paper, you can tear it. It will be able to be placed in there. We had a question the other night about the little juice boxes. You know, they shouldn't go in there today. In the future, they will be able to. So the breadth of the recyclable materials will be expanded significantly.
Well, that sounds like a good step, because now in terms of cardboard, it just says it'll take flat sheets. So with all kinds of containers, from cereals to frozen food. Now I'm flattening them all the time,
Yes.
so it'll be a flat sheet.
Sure.
And it's not clear what you're supposed to do with all these different kinds of containers, I think.
We will re-clarify all that as we move ahead.
Okay. And on these containers, it would be nice if you could have a choice, because for many people, these little trays are sufficient, and they're low profile, they're easy to manage, they're sufficient. These are high profile. A lot of garages are going to have trouble housing these high profile. You need two of them, not just one. You have to have two of them. I think it'd be good if you had some flexibility. A lot of people won't want to keep it outside. They think it's unsightly on the side of the house, the way they're set up. In many cases, they'd be right. So if there's some way to crank some flexibility into the options for people in these containers, I think that would be good.
Yes. And that's part of it, is once the option gets chosen, let's say it's the 211 or the 111 automatic, if that's the case, there would be flexibility ahead of time before we order all the containers, is to be able to go out and ask folks what they want. Now, I understand that some folks won't want the 95-gallon container. Some may want the 65 or the 35. We're going to try to create that flexibility as we move forward.
That's good. If you've ever had these, you'll know that the truck has to stop and park in front of each house and run the hydraulics to lift it up and over and back. And it's there and it's running the hydraulic motor at a good pace while it's doing that. So it's good that you're going to be flexible and have a choice on that.
Okay. Thank you.
My name is Gary Payano, and I live at Sun City Center. The one biggest concern I have here is the volume of our community. We are a low volume trash producer. Today was trash day. I walked around when I was preparing to come here, and most people have one little Walmart bag, maybe a cardboard box out there. There's just not the volume for any of these. People don't really use cans because they just put a little bag out at the end of the curb and everybody's happy. So it's all related to your tipping fee and that kind of thing. So we're putting out a little bit of trash and we're paying for maybe one of these every 2 days, twice a week. So my concern is, why can't we be accommodated in a way that would allow us to pay what we produce? Pay for what we produce in trash. And there's different communities have bag systems and things like that that may or may not work here, but I'm just concerned about the volume because I think we subsidize a lot of other people.
Okay. I appreciate your comments. The disposal side we're not really talking about today, but we've got your information and I'll respond back to you on that directly.
These cans are all, they're all, it's just too much for us. We don't need all that capacity.
Okay.
So, and we'd pay the same no matter what size can we had?
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's hard to take when somebody's putting that much out and I'm putting that much out and I'm paying the same fee. It just doesn't make sense.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your comments, and I'll get back with you on the other issue. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Christine Pugliese, Apollo Beach. Along the same lines, I was just wondering what's the customer responsibility and the employers, the garbage pickup people, as far as, like right now, we have the same thing. People put out kitchen garbage bags for their garbage. Some put out garbage trash containers.
Yes.
And in each case, there is garbage that doesn't get in the truck because of how it's being emptied or how the customer's doing it. With the automated system as well, is there any responsibility if garbage flies out on a windy day or it just doesn't get into the truck?
Well, in all cases, the vendor should be emptying the cans, regardless if it's in the future or today. And if you have those type issues, if you speak with Michelle in the back, she can get you the contact number. I don't have it right off the top of my head, but we'll get back with the vendors and make sure that they are emptying the cans. With regard to any wind-blown trash, of course, we'd prefer it to be bagged, but if anything blows out, the vendor should be responsible for picking that up as well.
And I don't know if it was mentioned, but is there going to be any kind of adjustment when a day falls on a holiday?
Yes, there will. If, for example, today there's not a makeup day because of the twice-a-week trash pickup, but if we went to a one-day-a-week trash pickup scenario, there would be a makeup day.
Okay, Thank you.
Larry Reese, Kings Point and Sun City Center. I've got a question on, excuse me, most of our people are elderly. They don't generate a lot of trash. So they'd opt for the smaller barrel, but even that will take some time to fill up. So during the summer, it's going to get in there for a while. But what happens if we have too much trash? Let's say somebody's moving and there's excess trash beyond the capacity of the barrel.
Okay.
What happens then?
Two answers to that. One is, I think John mentioned before that there's going to be the opportunity, if somebody generates a lot of trash and you want the larger container, or if you want 2 carts, which I don't think is the case in most of your area, but that would be available. And then if you're saying if you have a large amount of trash,
On a one-time basis.
yeah, arrangements will be made for that. You know, one of the things about these automated programs that John's been talking about is, yes, they have to be picked up with a mechanical device, but there are situations where the mechanical device isn't going to be able to reach that container, and the driver will have to get out of the truck, and that would be a situation where I think that would occur.
Okay.
Where the one time in 5 years somebody's put out a couple extra bags next to it, notifies the company in advance, the driver's going to get out and pick them up.
So if somebody's moving or for whatever reason has an excess amount beyond the capacity of the barrel, they just put it out next to the barrel in a bag or something?
No, I was only addressing that one-time situation. If somebody has more on a regular basis, and let's say you select this middle can, which is 65 gallons, it's not big enough, you could have the larger one. If that's not big enough, you have 5 kids, 5 dogs, 5 everything, you want a second one, the county would accommodate you by setting it up where there'd be 2 95-gallon
Okay,
carts.
so just to clarify, if somebody has a barrel, and then they also put out, let's say, plastic bags.
Sure.
Those won't get picked up.
Yes, they will. And the way we'll handle that, for example, in Lakeland, they do that, and you have to notify, I think they allow once a month or once a quarter for that to happen. They don't want it to happen routinely, because if that's the case.
Let's say on any given day, somebody puts something out there in a plastic bag as well.
They should notify them that it'll happen. It'll get picked up. It will get picked up, but we want to set it in place to where if it's an automated service, that it is truly automated. We don't want to have to stop and do that.
Yeah, okay. Now, I understand these have to be facing the right way to be picked up.
Yes.
What happens if it's facing the wrong way? Will it still get picked up?
The driver will have to get out, and I believe we'll put in some sort of a note system that, we'll leave a note on there that says, please make sure you turn the cart the right way.
What happens if one of these disappears?
Disappears as in?
Well, it just, the resident goes out for lunch, trash gets picked up, comes back, and the barrel isn't there. Or it blows away in a windstorm or something.
Well, these are a bit heavier, so they shouldn't blow away like a normal can. I think in the case if it gets stolen, I'd like to hear your feedback as to how we should address that, I guess, because that hasn't been the case.
Well, normally I would think let's say it's one of these, those are furnished free.
Yes.
But if it's one of these at $50 a crack, I imagine the county would try and charge the homeowner. Those disappear. Those blow away.
And what happens now if this disappears?
The homeowner replaces it, and I think that's what you would want to do here. But that could be an expense. Now, you mentioned the backdoor service for the disabled.
Yes.
And we have a lot of elderly people in Sun City Center. There's a difference between being elderly and being disabled. And for many of the elderly people, this is going to be a chore to take out, and they're not going to take it out every week or every 2 weeks. They're going to wait until it gets filled up.
Okay.
Probably can't do it anyway. Is that covered under your backdoor service? Or
not today under the ordinance, it's not. So,
okay.
And once again, we're here to hear your comments as to what you desire.
Right.
We're not making any decisions today.
Okay. Well, in general, I think these are going to fill up our garages in Sun City Center. Right now, most people don't generate that much trash there. I think they're going to be very heavy to be taken out. And what we're talking about really in option 4, which is the greatest savings, it's only a $2 savings over what we have now. The other options all cost more than what we're paying now.
No, sir. What
Well,
you're paying today,
No, okay, your total collection cost
as far as level
is
of service.
$100.35 for option 1,
Yes,
and that's the current system.
the current level of service. I'm sorry, I
Okay,
misunderstood.
yeah. Now, if we go to option 2, it's $111 or almost $12 a year more. Option 3 is more money. It's only option 4 that is a savings.
I think the current price is
Let me clarify that. Today, what's on your tax assessment bill is the $148.
But what would we pay if we continue the current system under the new contract?
Under the current bid?
No, under the, you've gone out for bids.
Let me start over again.
Okay.
Okay, here's where it kind of gets, it gets a bit confusing, and I apologize for that. When we're talking about 2013, what I showed on the tax bill up above, the assessment, the total assessment's $148.60. Of that, about $133 goes for the
Okay.
service you have today.
Then let me ask-
Under the bid scenario,
Yeah.
that price will change to about $100
Right,
annually.
so-
So it's
so
about a
the-
$35 savings.
The current system, not the
Yes.
current price, the current system would cost us $100.35?
Yes.
Okay. We don't save any money until you get to option 4. And
But I understand where you, relatively speaking, between the 4 options, that's true. Regardless of what option is chosen, the customers are going to save money from this year to next year.
yes, okay, but in reviewing the options, option 1, which is the current type of service,
Yes.
is $100.
Yes.
Option 4 is $97.
Yes.
That's the only one that's cheaper than the $100 figure.
Yes, and please bear in mind that we haven't gone out and bid the carts yet, so we don't know exactly what the price
But
of
you've
the cart.
estimated, you know roughly what they
We've
cost.
taken a very conservative estimate, so if they were to come in cheaper, it would change the ranking of what's cheapest and what's not cheapest.
I guess my point here is that it seems like an awful lot of work and a cumbersome system to save $2 a year.
We appreciate your opinion on
Okay.
that.
Thank
It's the money that you all pay as customers of the system. It's not taxpayer money. This is a direct pass-through cost
Yeah.
to the customers. So, you need to voice your opinion, and we appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. My name is Rob Adams from Apollo Beach. I want to go in a little bit different way here. You talked about competitive bidding, and every time I hear about competitive bidding, I hear about low bid, and every time I hear about low bid, sooner or later I hear about low quality. High quality, low bid don't seem to go together. I would prefer to have a higher quality garbage collection so that I don't wind up with what I currently have, which is where trucks go up and down my street and leave stuff like that lying in my street. And when I try to call a county, I do push 1, push 2, push 3. It takes longer to get to a county person than it does to a tech in India from my computer. And when I do get one, they tell me, hey, go call your waste service guy. So you need to improve the method that there is for me to get a hold of somebody in the county when I don't really like what's going on with my low bid trash collection. And I suspect that would continue with a low bid scenario. So I'm after to see what kind of things you have in your contracts that corral the low bid, poor equipment
Yes.
that waste services may use.
Okay. Any of the contractors within the contract, there are liquidated damages in the new contract, so their failure to do something would be a financial penalty against them to do that. Obviously, they don't want to have a financial penalty no more than we want to have to chase them down. So it's, we want to continue to work with them to improve their service and do what they're supposed to do and what they're getting paid for.
So there is some kind of performance clause in their contract for
Absolutely.
sloppy performance?
Sloppy performance, there's standards in there for the quality of the truck that they have. You know, it can't be leaking hydraulic fluid. You know, it can't be a leaky truck, for example. So,
Well, they do have leaky trucks.
well, if you could get with the lady in the back and get your information, we'll get with you, and we'll also.
I did.
get with
I
the
also
vendor.
got with a guy from Waste Services, so he's going to
Okay.
look into that and take
Okay.
care of it. But it took 3 months, and I had to threaten to call the EPA because my street drains into a canal. So any garbage that they've been spilling in the street gets washed into the canal, and that's probably not a good idea. Where do I put yard waste?
Yard waste would go curbside. It'll be either bundled as it is today, it could be bagged, or it could be put in a container.
Oh, so it stays the same as it is today?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have the option of keeping those kind of recycle containers plus that type of garbage container?
If we
Because that
go-
would suit me better. I don't need that great big thing for recycling.
If
I
we
can't
go to
drink that much beer in a month.
If we go to automated, those containers would go away because the truck wouldn't be able to pick it up.
Then I'm not in favor of those containers. And the third thing is just an observation. I keep hearing Southerners don't like how they do it in the north, but when I lived in the north, the city I lived in built a garbage collection recyclable bin at the front of a jail. The recycle trucks pulled up, dumped it in the bin on one side of the fence. The prisoners lined up on a conveyor belt on the other side of the fence. One guy took out brown glass, white glass, green glass, etc. And in the end, it just went off into another garbage truck who took it to the dump. And the city made all the money from that. If you're looking for something to be innovative in the way how recycling is handled. And I think that's all I have, so thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Kay Bruner, and I live in Sun City Center. I've lived in another state where we had this kind of system too, and when we converted. I guess one of my big concerns is I notice here, you know, I've lived here 5 years, you can put most anything out there to get it taken away for unlimited pickup. Have you costed out how much you're going to charge if things don't fit in that container and they don't fit in a plastic bag? Because that got quite costly where I lived before.
With regard to the trash pickup?
Well, in terms of how much you got charged.
Sure.
You know, for those kind of things to get picked up. We were allowed, it was $4 a bag to have a plastic bag picked up. It was, you were limited to 2 large items a year. Otherwise, you paid $50, you know, to have that picked up. And
Sure.
I know the residents of Sun City Center could not afford that kind of thing.
Different communities have different levels of service as far
Right.
as like large items that you mentioned.
Right.
For example, in the city of Tampa and Plant City, their fees are higher, but they have the kind of that large item pickup included in the level of service. We don't have that in the county.
Right.
That's not been a choice. We believe it would increase the overall fee for the whole system to do that. With regard to those extra bags, you know, if it's a consistent kind of thing, we recommend getting the second container or bigger container if it was the automated option.
But you haven't costed any of these things, you know, or put that into your plan, how you would deal with it, since now you take it away. I mean, one of my neighbors put out part of a couch. That got taken, you know, with
Sure.
the
Sure.
trash.
It is included in the contract details, and that would be part of our communication plan as we move forward on that. We're not intending on having extra charges, if that's really the question I think
Well,
you're
that was
asking.
that was sort of the question with
Yes.
that. And then another comment is, you know, I agree with most of the people that have said most of our neighbors don't need these size containers, you know, where we live. Also, our garages already are crammed full of cars, golf carts, you know, and stuff.
Sure.
Where I lived before, we had sidewalks alongside our house where we could keep these kind of containers, and heaven forbid, we had to have one for waste, one for recyclables, and one for trash, you know, and so you had 3 of them. You know, are you going to move toward that, or are you going to keep it one?
We're keeping it to one for garbage and one for recycling, so it is 2 containers under the automated scenario.
Okay, so I'm against that. I would keep it the way it is. These are a good size, you know, the recyclables, for us to handle, to take it out to the curb. These I know roll, you know, but still for some of our residents, it's going to be a problem.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Good morning. My name's Justin Darnell. I live up in Sefner. One of the things that I've noticed is one size doesn't fit all. Listening to everybody here, an older population, they may not have the same garbage requirements as a younger family in my area. However, I don't think it would be fair for the senior citizens who have a small amount of garbage to pay the same amount of money as I have with a growing family and large garbage. Sure. You mentioned that you were going to have, I think, 5 areas. Yes. Would those areas be geared towards providing a service relative to the clientele that you had in those areas? So the garbage style pickup that you have, for example, in Sun City would accommodate everybody's needs in Sun City, whereas the garbage, the Brandon, Sefner, sure. Younger families, they have a different need. They could be accommodated in a different fashion.
There's kind of 2 things to that, or probably more to it, but everybody pays the same rate. That was a Board of County Commissioner choice in doing that. There is an option for folks that qualify as a senior citizen discount on the disposal side, recognizing that that population does generate a little bit less trash. So on the not on the collection side, but on the disposal side, there is a discount on that that's given to the seniors when they apply for that. An example, if you had a family, and I believe Mitch mentioned this, that if you had a family, you had 5 kids and you generated a lot of trash, you can have 2 of the larger containers. You know, if like myself and my wife, we don't generate much, we would probably go with the 65-gallon cart if we went automated, or even the 35-gallon cart. It just depends, and so we're trying to build that flexibility into the system if we were to go automated.
But could you have an automated system in one area and a current system in another area which suited?
No.
Okay.
No. We have over 250,000 customers, and try to manage that over, you know, an area that's about 1,000 square miles would be logistically probably drive the costs up.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yes.
My name is Robert Lloyd. I live in Ruskin. One question I had was, I guess the lady that just left, about special trash pickup. Where I used to live, once a month they had a special trash pickup, and you put whatever it is that you wanted out there, sure. Say a bed, and you put it out the night before the special trash pickup. It was set up, you know, 1 day a week, but once a month.
Sure.
Is something like that going to be available to us?
That's not in the current ordinance, and it hasn't been discussed as far as any type of change.
Then how do I get rid of something that's
you can call
rather
your
large?
You can call your vendor, and I believe there's a fixed fee schedule in the ordinance that says how much they would charge for you to come to pick up a refrigerator or a washing machine.
I mean, in the process of trash collection, that to me doesn't make any sense, that you provide that as part of the trash
Sure.
pickup.
And let me explain that we could do that exactly, but that's exactly what the city of Tampa does, and it's what the Plant City does as well. Their trash collection fees are almost $100 more than what ours are today.
For a one-time pickup?
No, not for a one-time pickup. It's blended into that rate. They'll come and pick up the stuff. I don't know what their exact rules are, but for example, if you call up and say, hey, I've got a sofa that needs to be picked up, they'll come pick it up, but everybody is paying for that in the fee. Their fees overall, their annual assessment is higher than ours because it includes that.
It's called bulky waste collection.
Right, okay.
Okay, so bulky waste collection, John's dead on right. I mean, Plant City and Tampa pay considerably more per year than residents of Hillsborough County, and that's included.
But
so the board made the decision here.
Couldn't that be part of?
Well, it would, but then the rates would go up further, and the board here, and I think...
I wouldn't think, you know, if you're only talking about once a month, and not everybody is going to do that once a month, yeah. I don't see why that would increase the rate substantially to be able to get rid of a large item.
All you could do is you could look around and see the prices that neighboring communities pay that include that, and Plant City and Tampa, great examples, and their rate is quite a bit more with that bulky collection. And around the state, we work all over the state. When there's bulky waste involved, the rates are higher. So the board decided that rather than do that, if you have a mattress to put out and you're not taking it to their transfer facility or drop site, the current service provider will charge you for that And so you're
But
paying.
you know, a lot of what's going to happen is that somebody that has that mattress is going to dump it on the side of the road someplace. You know, it's not
Well,
going to get picked up.
that is a good consideration is, I mean, you know, we take the comments back to the board and, you know, this becomes a ratepayer type issue as to what all the customers are willing to pay and the type of service that they want. And I'm not saying that we're just not doing that today. There's nothing that precludes it happening in the future if that's what
It's
our
something
customers.
that could be up for discussion.
If that's up for discussion, if that's something our customers want, you know, and you were willing to pay for it, no problem.
Okay, I have roughly a 35-gallon container. Mine doesn't look so substantive as that one does, but is it necessary for those of us that have something that kind of looks like that to purchase one? I mean, I already have one. I don't need another one. Now, I need a second can for pickup, but I don't need the 35 for trash.
Yeah, the reason the answer to that, yes, you would have to use this is because the equipment is going to be such that they'd have to be standardized containers. And you might have a container that isn't set up right to be collected by that. So, for instance, at my home, and I live in Hillsborough County, I have a cart like this, but there's no hook on it here.
Yeah, mine doesn't have a hook on it.
Right, so therefore, it creates issues for the operators, so
Okay.
they'd have to have a standardized container. And the idea is that there'd be a standardized container, everybody would have the same color
Sure.
and create that uniform look, so.
Of the four conditions, do you have any idea whether the council is going to do 1 through 4 based on the information being provided, or evidently we're going to end up with one of whatever?
Yes. Our intention is that on January 10th, I believe is the day, there's a board workshop. And at that date, we'll present all the information regarding the bids that we've collected, the price analysis of what each would do, all the information that we're collecting, opinions, comments, questions that have come out of the meetings. We're having 5 public meetings. We've had a kind of what they call a teletown hall meeting on Thursday night, which folks could call in and ask questions and get answers. There's other options through the web. There will be a telephone survey. So we're going to collect all that public input of our customers to what they want. And that'll be part of the decision-making process for the Board of County Commissioners. But nobody has chosen anything
It's not
yet.
like an election, you know. If you win by 1, then it's going to be this.
It's not a voting. It's not a voting type scenario. It'll be a collection of information. Yes.
Hi, my name is John Gallo. It's spelled Gallo. I'm from Ruskin, and I think this is a great exercise in grassroots democracy. So thank you for doing this, and I commend the County Commission for spearheading this effort. There's a lot of pros and cons regarding each option, and we've heard many good comments. But my concern is the same as this dear Saint Dorothy Stevens in Palm River. These other options are going to eliminate jobs. And we're all suffering from this economy. I don't know how many Donald Trumps or Mitt Romneys are here today, but you know, you guys haven't had a cost of living raise, county employees, in I don't know how many years. Well, these contractual employees, you may technically say that it's not our concern, meaning the government's, but it is our concern. You know, I'm a taxpayer citizen, a retired pastor. This is a moral issue. These people have to work. They have to put food on the table. And while the current system's not perfect, I mean, I've gone fishing from my top down the storm sewer a few times. You know, these guys do work hard, and I want them to keep working.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you.
My name is Jim Connolly. I'm with Sun City Center, and I do appreciate all the efforts that people have gone so far. You must be up to your eyeballs and going to meetings like this. But it does appear to me, and I want to, before I say anything, I want to compliment the other people from Sun City Center who expressed concern over the practicality of using these types of containers in this type of community. I get the impression that the options before us are extremely limited, that this is going to happen. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, or 4, and it's probably going to be with the automated system. And I think it's incumbent upon the people that work for the county to express to the board that there's a lot of strong sentiment that one size does not have to fit all. this community's trash, if you probably measure it in terms of weight collected, it's got to be substantially less than, I'm not even familiar with where the community goes, but it's got to be pretty light. Why they can't propose a separate line of business for this area, which is very, very well defined. It's not a hard area to define. And there could be minimal exceptions. I think that would be very, very responsive to the citizens that live in the Sun City Center area. So I would appreciate whatever effort you can do as a person in charge of how this is going to get presented to deliver that type of a message.
I appreciate
Thank
that,
you.
and we will deliver that.
Hi, my name is Van Eyck, and I live in Sun City Center. I lived in St. Pete for 20 years, and I love the automated system. I think it's the best system since sliced bread, and I really hope we go for that. I'm one of those 84-year-old feeble people that live in Sun City. I also cook and bake. I put out 1 or 2 32-gallon cans a week, so I can certainly use one of those. And those wheels on those things are big enough that most people can handle them, unless they're really crippled up. That's all.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Dave Brown. Everything you've heard about me is a lie. No, it's not. No, okay. Now, I know it's not your concern. It's the people who bid on it. But we live on a cul-de-sac, and I went through and counted the number of cul-de-sacs in Sun City Center, and there are almost 100. Of the 10 people who live on our cul-de-sac, 4, the truck driver will have to get out and move their container over to the truck because it'll be like 10 or 15 feet away as he tries to make the turn.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I know it's not your concern. They should have bid right, and I hope they did. Okay. Several people have mentioned the loss of jobs, and I question that that's a good argument because I imagine they'll put more trucks out with these automated systems because they're slower. And so maybe it will make for more jobs if you did have automated. So I don't think you should fall prey to the idea that jobs are going to be lost with automation. Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Don Renwick, Sun City Center. These various total costs, collection costs, they don't include the discount for seniors?
No, sir. This is just on the collection side.
Okay. All right.
That discount is on the disposal side.
All right. Now, you said that with whatever contract you sign, the county's going to get a percentage of the recyclable from the process center?
From the process center, yes, sir.
And does that come back to us?
It'll come back into it'll be built into the overall rates that are established in the system.
Yeah, when, next year?
It would be in 2014.
I'm saying.
It'd probably take it, well, the contracts would begin in 2014. So, for example, the savings realized wouldn't happen until about 2015, yes.
All right, thank you.
No more questions? Yep, we have some more questions.
Just on that bulk pickup, we used to have a drop-off center in Wamama that was very, very convenient. Mm-hmm. And I have an SUV, and I used to take for my neighbors and everything down there and could drop off as much as a washing machine or an old couch or anything that you needed to dispose of. And it certainly was less than, like they wanted $10 or $20 to come pick up an item and take it away. Also, in the towns where we've lived previously, aside from the garbage contractor, the actual county workers once a month drove around, like he was talking about, they had a pickup day, and that was handled by the county road department, totally separate from the contract, and it was, a service that was provided within the tax structure. There was no extra charge for it or anything. Okay. And it seemed to cut down a lot on the roadside dumping and so forth. And I've noticed since that Wamama Center is closed, there's a lot more roadside dumping out in that area because they just want to get rid of things.
And kind of as a side note, with regard to that, we are looking at the amount of illegal litter that's put out, illegal dumping. We're trying to figure out a way to improve that. And your suggestion regarding that, we're trying to figure out what the cost of, say, for example, a quarterly moratorium is, and say, hey, bring your stuff and put it in. We're not going to charge you, to try to reduce some of that. We're going to go through that process. It's separate from this, but we're going to look at trying to reach out and get the community cleaned up a little bit better, and try to find ways to do that. Also, if for folks that have the ability, the community collection centers up on US 41, for example, you can haul your stuff up there and dump it as well. The materials get recycled, oil, electronics, metals, all that stuff will go through the same process for those that can have the ability to bring it up there too.
I do go up there, but the Wamamo was a lot more convenient
Sure.
for our area.
Okay, I appreciate that. This lady here had a question. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Look, I am very disabled. I'm 90 years old, and I'm not the only one. There's a lot of us in Sun City. You better not give us anything like that. It's heavy just looking at it. I could never begin to wheel it. And I would not appreciate it. I'd fight you if I had to go to the state. I really would. And I'd have all the disabled people behind me, and there is a lot of us.
Okay. And as I mentioned before, disabled folks can apply to the county and get backdoor service where the vendor would have to come up to your home and pick this up.
Yeah, but they told me that I had to use those buckets. I can't even pick up that darn bucket. And I'd have to take it all the way down to the street. And I don't appreciate the fact that I was told to do that, so I don't do it. I put it in plastic bags, the recyclables. And they're see-through, so they can tell what's in there.
Okay.
And that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Okay. And as we move forward with the recycling, that'll become what we call single stream recycling, so it all can be mixed up. It doesn't have to be separated anymore.
that'll be a
But
help.
I appreciate your comments on that. We want to do everything we can and be flexible and accommodate as many folks as we can as well.
Well, I hope so.
Thank you.
John, since you alluded to the recycling center on 41, you do need better signage there?
Okay.
Yeah.
We can fix that.
Okay.
Well, if that's all the, one more question.
Would you just take a straw poll of option 1, 2, 3, or 4?
We can sure do that. All in favor of option 1? Okay, I think we'd probably count the other option, it'd be easier, but we have the sign-in sheet, okay. Option 2? Option 3? And option 4? Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming out. Like I said, there's an opportunity to make comments on the web. We have some of the trash cans up here, the carts up here, if you want to come up and kick them, move them around, anything you'd like to do, and there's some staff around to answer any questions. Thank you again.